In the late 90s, the Chicago Bulls weren't just winning championships, they were making headlines. Michael Jordan was the hero, Scottie Pippen was the silent assassin, and then there was Dennis Rodman. But today's story isn't about the worm. It's about the young trainer who got the most unforgettable assignment in NBA history. Keep Dennis Rodman out of trouble. That man's name? Wally Blase. Setting the stage. It was March, late in the regular season. Rodman had sprained his left knee and would be sidelined until the playoffs. The Bulls were heading on an East Coast road trip, and coach Phil Jackson had a problem. Leaving Dennis alone in Chicago for rehab? Yeah, not a great idea. So, they came up with a plan. Send Rodman to his agent's home in Southern California, with Wally, the assistant trainer, as his babysitter. Phil called them into his office, told them to go straight there, and, just to seal the deal, handed Dennis an eagle feather for good luck. Before they left, Phil joked, "Take care of Wally and make sure he wears a condom." Dennis replied with a grin, "All right, bro." Dallas detour. This was pre-September 11th. Security was, let's say, flexible. Wally's first clue that something was off came as soon as they boarded the plane. The pilot announced, "Welcome aboard. We'll be landing in Dallas-Fort Worth in 2 hours and 20 minutes. Dallas? They weren't even supposed to stop there. Dennis smiled and said, "Don't worry about it, bro. I just want to visit my mom and check out the house I bought her." Sounded harmless enough until they got to baggage claim. Waiting for them? 2 white stretch limos, packed with women in revealing outfits. That night, they hit the Dallas clubs until sunrise. Wally crashed on the couch in their hotel suite, probably wondering what he'd just signed up for. NASCAR madness. The next morning, Dennis woke Wally at 8:30 a.m. "Get up, bro. You can sleep when you're dead." They actually went to the gym. Dennis trained like a man possessed. But when Wally asked when they'd fly to California, Dennis laughed. "Not today, bro. Ever been to a NASCAR race?" It just so happened the Texas Motor Speedway was having its grand opening, and a model Dennis liked was going to be there. So naturally, they rented a helicopter to beat the traffic. They met racing legend Richard Petty and partied in the VIP suite like celebrities, extending the chaos. By day 3, Wally was ready to snap. He told Dennis, "If we don't get to California, I'm gonna lose my job." Dennis shrugged. "Come on, bro. Yesterday was the Bush League race. Today's the real race." Wally called his boss in Chicago. To his surprise, the head trainer said, "Don't worry, at least he hasn't gotten into trouble." After one more day in Dallas, they finally flew to Southern California, Orange County speed run. In California, things didn't calm down. They sped up. First stop, Dennis's new Lamborghini. Then, without warning, he tossed Wally the keys to his yellow Porsche. "Ever driven one?" Wally shook his head. "Don't worry about it, bro." They tore through the streets like they were in the Daytona 500. Over the next days, it was one wild scene after another, meeting Rodney Dangerfield and No Doubt on The Tonight Show, talking movie roles with producer Jerry Bruckheimer, hitting Anaheim Ducks hockey games, from babysitter to best friend. By the end of the trip, Wally wasn't just Rodman's chaperone, he was his friend. So much so that the Bulls started bringing Wally along on road trips just to keep Dennis company. A year later, during the NBA Finals in Utah, Dennis said Salt Lake City was too boring. He rented a jet, flew Wally to Las Vegas, and threw him a surprise birthday party. Guests included actress Carmen Electra, Pearl Jam's Eddie Vedder, and hockey legend Chris Chelios. Wally called it the night of my life. Why Wally got it? Wally, now that after years became athletic trainer for the Atlanta Hawks, says he understood Dennis immediately. Yes, Rodman could be reckless and insecure, but he was also one of the kindest human beings you'd meet. And in Wally's eyes, Rodman's real genius was this. He created the perfect scenario for a pro athlete, where partying wasn't a scandal. It was part of his brand. That's why, for all the chaos, all the detours, and all the sleepless nights, Wally wouldn't trade those days for anything, from Dallas limos to NASCAR helicopters, from Hollywood meetings to Vegas birthday bashes. Wally Blase had one job: keep Dennis Rodman in line. And somehow, they both survived.